If you're starting from zero, you want to follow the influencer when they were beginning their platform, not what their platform looks like today. Because if you're following what it looks like today, you're not catching how to grow.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Amazing Marketing Show. I'm Dmitri Smirnov here with Chris Gray, and we're so pleased to have Rachel Miller back on the show. If you guys missed part one, you really have to go listen to it because it's the biggest, most amazing cliffhanger of all time. And this is the continuation. Rachel Miller, if you don't know, she's the legend behind Moolah Marketing. She's got Pagewheel. She's got Facebook courses. She's a pro, like people in the industry. When you're talking about who are you going to talk to get your social media on point, every single person says Rachel Miller. That's who we've got on the show. Rachel, what's going on?
It's so good to be here with you, Dmitri and Chris. Good to be back. I love you both.
Yeah, I mean, it was the most epic cliffhanger. I think you had to go give someone a ride or something. Right. But
I have teenagers who got jobs before they got driver's licenses, which I'm proud of them because that means they're like taking initiative and they're working and learning ethics and skills. And they forgot to put one of their jobs. Like we have a family calendar and they didn't put their family calendar. Mom, drive me on the calendar. So that's the way life works. Once in a while, we have to be flexible. So thank you guys. She's learning too. She's learning to use the calendar.
Well, we're so glad that you're back. And what we want to do in this episode is dive into our social media, what we've got going on. We want to spread the message of the Amazing Marketing Show because, like we say, marketing is everything and everything is marketing and everyone needs to know about it.
There's two things. I think I was telling Dmitri earlier, this is for anybody who's listening. I love when I get around people and then after a while, I notice that my face is starting to hurt because I'm smiling a lot. And that's happened with Rachel. It happens with Dmitri. Like I got on with Dmitri earlier today, and I was like, "Why am I cheesing so much?" Then Rachel gets on. I'm like, "Why am I cheesing so much?" I love being around people like that. And Rachel, I was in South Dakota talking to a buddy of mine from Front Row Dads. He's in my band, and his daughter is 18. She's in marketing. Mm-hmm. She's asking me, "Hey, should I go to college to do this, or should I get this certification, or should I get this course?" And long story short, without going into rabbit hole, I was like, no, what I did when I was learning marketing was I would just go out there and try to learn, look up stuff, and I would find people who made sense and were doing what I wanted to do at a high level. And then I would take their courses or go get to know them. So Rachel, you were the person for what she was doing that I recommended that she watch. Aww. And so she went and she started watching you. And her dad came to me earlier this week and he's like, we were watching Rachel's stuff. And she's like, ah! I was like, dude, that's not a show. She's really like that, and she's really good. So I think it's dope that we have the opportunity, me and Dmitri have the opportunity to talk to you and just
I do have a lot of energy. I do have a lot of energy.
Anyway, so I think that was dope that you have a young 18-year-old who is watching and consuming your content so she can do what you do.
I love that. I hope she is successful. And if she has any questions, please send her my way. I love helping kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share the screen now. Should I start on? We have TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram.
How about we start with your favorite one because I can see some trends for all of them right now.
Oh. All right. Well, I think now my favorite is YouTube, and I think maybe that's where
let's start there then. Let's start there.
All right, here we go. YouTube. Here it is.
So now hide it.
Hide it.
Yep, you showed it. Now we want to hide it. You saw it. If you or your readers saw it for just about 3 to 5 seconds. In that 3 to 5 seconds, could you understand what you were seeing?
All right. Well, Chris, what did you understand anything about our?
No, I saw Kobe because it was below our thing or something, or one of our. That was it. Yeah.
Let's try it again, and we're gonna hold it up for just a few seconds. So I want you to just pick one video that you have and just kind of open it, not so it's plays, just that you can see the video and have it ready or play.
All right. So here we go back on the screen. This is our main page. I'm gonna click the first short.
Okay. Now, stop.
Stop.
What was that about?
Chris, you tell me.
No clue.
Okay, so it says we're all here to da 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 da, and it was about 3.5, almost 4 seconds, and we didn't know what it was. So there was no cover on it that was really clear with what are we going to get out of this. The title wasn't super clear about what we're going to get, like behind the scenes of well, what, like, why do I want to watch a behind the scenes? So what we want to do is think, what does the user want, and who is the user? Who do they want to be? How can we make our content reflect who they say that they are, so they can instantly say, oh, that's me they're talking to. Yeah, I should listen to that. And then 2, there's some type of like curiosity or hook, something that grabs their attention and says, I'm going to watch this because I'm going to get XYZ from it. So what I like to do with some of my videos, like that was a short, a TikTok, a reel, they're all the same type of content. And you need to have a cover as the first second that shows up before your video plays. So it's 1 second of a cover, and that cover says something like fastest hack to 10,000 followers. And now they've like, oh, if I watch this, I'll get the fastest hack to 10,000 followers. Or if I watch this, I'll learn how Tito's vodka killed its competition. And you can too. I'll learn how well, something that says like stop selling features. Whoa, am I selling features? What does that mean? This pitfall stops every single marketer and causes you to fail. Well, what pitfall is that? You're selling features. But you always want to kind of like reframe it as in a curiosity and who it's for. Stops marketers. It's a pitfall for marketers. Oh, it's talking to me. I need to listen to that. So it's who it's for. And then it's got this like hook.
I guess what we were thinking was that typical organic content on these reels and TikToks and stuff like that it just starts with a video, especially with the big influencers. Now, granted, they're more recognized than we are, but we're reproducing what they're doing.
Well, if you're following somebody who's already established, there's a reason that their followers, they already have loyalty to their followers. So their followers don't need as many hooks because they've already know who that person is and why to follow them. If you're starting from zero, you want to follow the influencer when they were beginning their platform, not what their platform looks like today. Because if you're following what it looks like today, you're not catching how to grow. And so if you notice in your videos, you're going to see one like how to build wealth in your 20s. So building wealth when you're 20, that's probably a bit more of a hook. You might grab attention than say some of your other videos. Now, the problem with that one, I'm just glancing at your feed. I'm guessing that most of your readers are not in their 20s. So that one did exceptionally well, considering the fact very few of your people are in your 20s. How to fix broken wealth when you're in your 40s, that one will probably take off because I'm guessing your audience is in the 40s and they all want to fix their wealth. So like that's a hook that did well, even though it had the wrong audience, and it still attracted your people and still got attention. But that's because it started with the hook, and the hook was just in the title. But now they've got a search phrase in it. It has a call out as to who it's for. So yeah, and it's got curiosity.
There's this thing, Rachel, this principle that you said, well, me being around you said it 4 or 5, maybe 10 different times, where the social media posting, the video, whatever, needs to be about the person who's consuming it. If it's a Facebook post, they want to share it because they want to be reminded of who they are, as well as show others who they are. I'm wearing a jiu-jitsu shirt. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of who I am, and then it tells others who I am. And that concept is huge in social media, and it's something that I have to keep being cognizant of.
Yeah. Your people, if they're sharing content, it's to make themselves look good. So often if we say things like, well, I'll just start with one of my businesses is like DIY home stuff. And so one of our products that we were selling for a while was a vacuum cleaner. Because we had the highest markup and affiliate commissions on selling a different company's vacuum cleaner. And so we were ranking really high in how to clean your vacuum floors, how to declog hair from a vacuum cleaner, all these problems. Now, if I was making social media about how to vacuum your floor, how well do you think that's going to convert if someone's now sharing that content? It's going to make, I said 10 ways that you're forgetting to clean your floors. If I post that, who's going to want to tag themselves in that? What does that say about who they are? Let's say you clean your floors perfectly, but you tag your friend in how to know your floor is dirty. What do you look like as a person tagging your friend? Like, you look like a horrible person. Like, you're picking on this gal's floor. Like, don't you know she's got a lot of, like, there's a lot of things happening. Why are you fussing about her floor? Okay. It doesn't make you look good to share it. It doesn't make you look good to engage on it. So that content's never going to go viral. That's not content that's going to get people's attention unless you're only focusing on here's the pain, here's the pain, here's the pain. That's not how social media works. So people aren't going on social media to find out where they're in pain. They're going on social media to connect with their friends, connect with their family, and to look good to their friends and look good to their family and to feel loved, right? They're not coming to be reprimanded on how they vacuum their floors. So what we did is we said 10 ways to get your husband or maybe your teenager to vacuum the floors for you. Now they could tag their friend and be like, yeah, is your teenager actually going to do any of this? Like, my teenager doesn't either. I was trying to convince my husband that my vacuum was broken and he didn't. Now they're like, there's like a camaraderie now. Now it's not they didn't vacuum the floor. It's that they had a broken vacuum because it wasn't on the honey. It was somebody else's fault. So now it's something that was shared. So I want us to think, how can we make our audience in their problem look good? And we want to call out who they are and then make them look good in their problem.
Okay. Wow. I mean, it's like, oh, right. That's what we're going on social media to do. We don't want to find the pain. We want to feel loved.
We want to feel loved.
Let's
so
make
how
content.
can you make them feel loved?
Yes.
And now here's the thing. How can you make them feel loved in a blank? And what I mean by that is they are only going to look at you for 3 seconds. They don't know you. They don't care about you. They care about themselves. So how can you make them feel loved in under 3 seconds?
Wow.
This is
so things like that would be things like secret to high level success. You know you're high level when. So that's one of their titles of their video is The Secrets to High Level Success. So I was trying to spin, for those of you who didn't see the screen, it says The Secret to High Level Success is the video. And then you would spin that to be like, you would never believe the secret that's just waiting for you. Or this is the one thing you're missing. Or tag someone who you know can't wait to make the next level.
This is such a transferable, again, with the show, Rachel, we kind of explore how these things kind of play out in our lives. And this is a transferable principle of, it's not about me or my business. It's about you or the customer. Like, it's about the other person. So even if I meet a total stranger, if I sit there and talk about myself and me, they're going to walk away and not care. But if I meet a total stranger and I'm asking them about what they're passionate about, I'm making the conversation about them and showing genuine interest that they feel that I am there for them, they will be much more receptive to me. It's the same concept in marketing where it's about the other person.
Yeah. And actually, I love that you brought up real life, because that's actually one of the stories I love to tell people, because I have triplets that, I mean, you know that, Chris. Yep. And my youngest kids are now 13. But when they were like 2, one of them loved to be a nudist. I mean, to be honest, he still doesn't wear clothes. Like, he walks in the door and he takes off his shirt. And I'm like, anyways, he would wear nothing. Actually, he does wear nothing a lot. Anyways, my point is, he's a nudist. I had this 2-year-old. He's a nudist at 13. He's a nudist when he was 2. And I went to Walmart, and it's wintertime. It's Texas. He's not dying in the winter. Okay. It's Texas. Texas winters are like 50 is cold. Okay. But it is in Texas. We think that that's like, we're going to like get hypothermia. Okay. Like, we're all freaking out because it's 50. But he's in Walmart. He's taken off his socks. He's taken off his shoes. He has no jacket on. He's wearing next to nothing. He's working on his pants next, right? But we're in Walmart and I'm putting these like articles of clothing into my bag as I'm trying to shop, right? And so one grandma comes up to me and goes, "Don't you know it's wintertime? Your child is cold. He's going to get sick. What kind of mother are you? You should be putting clothes on your child. Like, this is not acceptable." And to be honest, I would probably agree. It is cold and this isn't acceptable. But I mean, have you tried fighting with the child? But, anyways, uh, when she's telling me this, even though I recognize I have a problem, even though I want to find a solution to this problem, even though I agree on the features and the benefits. Does that make sense? I agree.
Yeah.
I will be warm if I put clothes on. I agree. Da, 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 da. I'm not getting the solution out of my purse, and I'm not putting socks and shoes back on my kid because I just didn't feel like it, right? Instead, I'm telling her, "Bug off. You don't know my kid. Get out of my way," right? Like, I'm shopping. Leave me alone, lady. So that's lady one. I literally walk right around the corner. You know, you go one aisle down, next aisle, you're going like you're zigzagging through all of them, right? Because you got to get all the groceries. So I go to the next one up, and another grandma. There's a lot of grandmas in Texas, and they all love to be in everybody else's business. And so this next grandma, I walk up to her, and I'm getting whatever it is off the shelf. And she's like, "Oh my word, you have three. Oh, wow. How old are they? Oh, awesome. I bet they really love XYZ, whatever food they're holding on to. Oh, they do. And you've got three. One of them looks like he might be a little cold." Like, yeah, he is. I've got his socks right here. "Oh, really? Which one of them got me to take action and fix my problem?" It wasn't the one telling me that I had pain. It was the one who connected with me about who I was, talked about me, talked about like what we're up to, things I was interested in, identified with me, and then mentioned that I have a problem. And next, my kid is now wearing socks and shoes for at least a little while. But that happened because she connected with me and helped me identify and me feel good. And then as soon as I was done, I was like, that was marketing, guys. We just got marketed to. And I just got bought and sold, and you're now wearing socks and shoes. You better put shoes on your feet, because if we see either of those grandmothers in the store again, we're going to get yelled at. So, yeah. But one of them got me to take action, and that's because she connected with me. She clickbaited me. She gave me like a hook, and she convinced me of the benefits through a conversation.
Thank you for showing how marketing truly is everything, and interpersonal relationships are in fact marketing. And you've got my mind kind of running, because it sounds like you just described the algorithm to interpersonal relationships in general, and probably how the algorithms in social media work. And yes. I kind of want to start a cult now.
It does. You can actually apply it to real life. Yes. And actually, I think that's how I started. Whenever I was in college, I didn't have a whole lot. Lived a more isolated life. I was one of the first homeschoolers in America when homeschooling started. I think it was like the year it started in Pennsylvania was the year I became a homeschooler. And so there was like maybe 15 of us in the entire county that homeschooled, and like 4 of them were my siblings. Anyways, it was a very isolated life. And when I went to college, I found out who the NSYNC boys were, and I found I didn't know what everybody else knew, and I definitely wore the wrong clothes. Okay, I didn't know music, I didn't know anything, I didn't know the dances, I didn't know. I was isolated, and I was not cool. And so I went to school in the first 3 or 4 weeks. I had this those black marble notebooks. You guys know what I'm talking about? I wish I had the dang thing. But I wrote down in there, what are people doing that look popular, that people are engaging with? What are they doing that other people aren't doing? So I can hack their behaviors, because I obviously don't know what I'm doing right now, because, you don't shake hands with friends. You do this arm bump thing, and only boys do the arm bump. Girls don't do the arm bump. All of those things, I had to learn what those were. And so I just wrote them all down in a book and said, I'll make, and I actually told myself, my goal was to have the biggest party. And everybody asked me why they weren't invited afterwards, have the biggest party. And I'll know I was successful once I've got to that. And I ended up having one of the biggest parties. And it happened, though, because I connected to who people were, and I met them where they are. And then I had a hook for them. So, yeah, it was the same thing. And I did it. hacking like human relationships. And then when I had my 3 kids and I came home, or actually I have 6 kids, but when I first came home, I had kids back to back. And I'm stuck now at home and I have no like social life again. I was like, well, now we take the same hack relationships, and instead of hacking real life relationships, let's hack online relationships. And that's when we blew up from, I think we grew to over 1 million fans in 1 year. Oh no, it was a year and 3 days. Yeah, I was really bummed that didn't happen in less than 3 days. But yeah, a year and 3 days.
We'll give you the year. We'll
Yeah.
round down on that one.
Yeah,
I think
we'll
that's a
round
fair
down.
thing.
But yeah, we were able to hack it and we were able to grow to 1 million fans. And that happened literally by mirroring people's behavior online. So that means if they're liking posts, if the social media platform wants people to like, well, then we're going to like our users back. If the users use contractions in their sentences, I'll, will, should have, could have, like if they're using contractions, we're going to use contractions. If the users use hashtags, we're going to use hashtags. If the users don't use hashtags, guess what? We're not going to put in our post. We're not going to start putting hashtags everywhere if our readers aren't talking with hashtags. If our readers engage on questions, then we're going to ask questions. So we just want to mirror back to them the behaviors that the platform or that they want. So yeah. And it's the same thing we do in real life. Not any different. You just have to do it faster.
So much to that, because from the NLP perspective, neuro linguistic program, where they talk about if somebody crosses their legs, if you mimic their body language as well, they feel more in sync with you, right? So if like you mimic people, how they, whatever, you mimic their body language, they feel more in sync. And I find myself doing that intuitively, and I feel like it does help us sync up. And then also point number 2 here, you don't just know what your prospect is into. You don't just know how they write or what they say. You have to go find out. You have to go into their world and you have to care for them. You have to be one of them. And so I think that's a lesson in of itself, is to like know your person, like truly know them, like how they talk, how they interact, so that you're not just mimicking them, you're becoming one with them. And I think that makes a difference, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we do that when we ask them questions, and then we earn the right to tell them a bit about who we are. So like whenever you go to a party and it's the first time and you're new there, you meet a stranger, you walk up to them and say, hey, how do you know this person? Or what do you do? Right? Those are the first questions like that you ask somebody. And what is the response? They say their answer. And then what's their response right after?
Reciprocal.
What do you do? How did you find your way here? Like that back and forth interaction, like that's what humans do every time they meet in real life, every circumstance. So just like we meet a stranger in face to face, we're going to meet a stranger online in a YouTube video or in a TikTok or in an Instagram post or in a tweet. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to earn the right to talk to them because we're also going to have like a back and forth conversation. We too often think that we're like a loudspeaker when we're on the internet, instead of realizing that there's a human on the other screen and their behaviors is the same as it is in real life, whether it's a computer life or a real in-person touching each other life.
I want to come back to this. So my question that I want to plant and then come back to it is, given the fact that we run this podcast and we have content about marketing and we want to cut up our content into clips that are used online, how do we make the content such that it does fill those points where we can talk about others? And so, but before that, I wanted to go back to what you said, where you had 1 million followers in a year, I know this. People throw around numbers all the time. We're kind of tired of them, or we're immune to them, or we don't even listen to them. But 1 million real people who they don't follow. They love being a part of this community that you built, and they comment, they like, they engage, they buy.
Yeah, we had 250,000 of books sold that year. They bought our books in mass, in tons of them. They We were getting 10 million page views a month to our websites at that time. So yeah, it was an insane year.
Well, it makes sense because you're creating community where people feel like themselves. They can be themselves. They can probably let their true selves out in the comments section, and so you built a community not of bots, not of fake followers, and we're talking about a million.
And we did it with no ads too. Yes.
No, so I just wanted to note that like this is a seriously successful strategy.
Yeah. And it starts, I think what you probably want to know is how can you guys mimic that strategy and implement it right now yourselves? So it starts, I think, with memes. Because when you're coming to someone and they don't know who Dmitri is, they don't know Chris, and you guys both know I'm your biggest, one of some of your biggest fans. I can't say I'm your biggest fan because you both have like important people like wives and daughters, but I'm right up there. Okay, I love them. Okay, but my point is, I know them, I love them, I will listen to their podcast because I adore them. But other people don't know you and love you yet. So what you need to start with is typically the things that they love the most. I love to do memes because those people can instantly connect with, and it takes a very low bar of connection. Like it's just something like I just give it a thumbs up or I give it a heart or a smile face. I might share it really fast to a friend and all they're gonna do is laugh about it, right? It's just something little that takes a second of their day to engage. So it's the smallest type of engagement you can get from your audience. I usually start with memes and then from memes bring into, say, tweetables, which are like where you make an expert post. So you've done the meme that gets them to have the micro reaction of, oh, I think that's so funny. And then, okay, now that you think that's funny, are you inspired? Let's get you from laughing to inspired to, okay, let's learn something. So laugh, inspire, learn, and then from learning, okay, now you have a problem because people have to actually learn that they have a problem before they're able to cure that problem. So I'm almost going to think like I told you guys that my son, like between our two phone calls, I had like the flu go through our house. And one of my boys, he had like 104 the first time I caught his fever. I was like, you are so hot. Like, holy frickin' moly, you are hot. Like, why did you go to school today? Like, when you started feeling off, why didn't you call me? He's like, I'm not sick. I'm like, you're sick. He's like, no, I'm going to church. Like, there was this church where they throw paint at each other at night. And he's like, I'm going to church tonight. I'm like, you're not going to church tonight, honey. And he's like, I'm going to get you ibuprofen right now. So I get him ibuprofen and I give him the meds. We could only get his temperature down to 102 on meds. That's how bad his fever was. He had it, like, it was just horrible. So anyways, we get it down to 102. We're giving him ice baths. We're like getting him, like, as soon as the meds start running. My point is, this entire time, he's like, I'm not sick. Because he wants to go do something else. He doesn't want to be sick. He's like, but my head does hurt. But you know what? I'm not, my tummy, I don't want to eat anything. I don't want any of that. Like, no. Actually, all I want is juice. Okay. Like, I just want to, the light's bothering me. Okay. I'm like, well, you don't have a problem. I get it. You think you don't have a problem, but this is not a symptom you need to live with. This high fever, this cold thing, the fact that your sweat's cold, yeah, that you don't need to live like that, honey. If you're ever feeling like that, you should call your mama. If you're having where your head like really, really, really hurts, well, just that's a sign something's not right. So I had to educate my 13-year-old. This is what sick is. I realize you haven't had the flu in like 2 or 3 years. This is the flu. It's not pleasant. We're going to get through it, but like, let me know. We had to educate him that you have a problem. Here's the solution for it. But he had to get to the spot first where he was willing to admit that he had a problem because he was able to see the symptoms of his problem. And then, okay, what are the steps to change it? And what are the consequences that will happen if I don't take those steps, right? So we had to walk him through that at 13. But it's the same process that we did for him. We have to do with our audience. We have to go to our audience and say, wait a second. We've laughed about things like, hey, your head really hurts right now, doesn't it? That's really funny. We have to, you're not sick. Okay, I get it. You're not sick, but maybe the thermometer, let's just see what the thermometer says. Oh, you took this test and you took the personality quiz, and the personality quiz says there is a problem. Well, see, you have a problem. Okay, so like we're going through that process with him, the same process we do with our audience. Who are you? What is the symptom? Let's laugh about the symptom. Let's connect with you. Okay. And then let's identify how we know that there's an actual problem, and then walk through the steps. Okay, here's the other symptoms of that problem. And now you're at a spot where I can educate you, where you're now going to listen to a podcast from me. If we go straight to podcast, most likely we're pushing our audience away.
Well, Rachel, I think with sticking with your son, he knew that he had trust in you, and he knows that you love him. So when it came time for you to give him the suggestion of what he needed, he was there to listen, right?
Not so much. He really wanted to go to the color wars. He wanted to throw
Well, but he still knows that what you're suggesting is what's best for him, because you love him. Like, he knows that, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he knows.
And so then I think my question here is, you've worked with several entrepreneurs. There's the entrepreneur, like going back to what Dmitri says, you've built a big community because you love your community. Like, you genuinely love them. This is not about a dollar or something, and people feel that. Where if you've met entrepreneurs, I've met entrepreneurs who may try to build a community because they want the dollar. They are going to study their audience, not to learn and love them, but to maybe know them so they can make money. So how do you coach someone who's in it for production versus
in it for the transaction?
In it for the transaction versus in it for the person. How do you coach that person?
That's a hard one. Have you guys ever been to a friend who's like, well, you owe me $10 because we did XYZ, and now you're like, well, I mean, do I really want to go out with you again if we're going to be counting who does what? Like, that's not cool. Like, a little bit of counting is okay, but there's a point where it's just not fair. Does that make sense? So it's not fair if, like, you go out to dinner with 5 of your friends and one friend always pays the bill. That's not fair. The rest of the friends feel icky on the inside. It's not cool to that one person to constantly be the payer, even if they think like they're being the nice, loving, kind guy. It's not cool. It's the same way though. If one of the friends always mooches off the others, that feels icky after a little while. That's a transactional relationship. And sometimes going out with friends, that's okay. Like, a little bit's okay. But if everything is transactional, that's where it gets off. I like to think, just like in real life, we have to have about 1/4 of our interactions with that person be transactional. Like, if we're going to go out to eat or we're going to go hang out, like, probably 1 out of every 4 times we can go to a place where we split checks. But if all of our interactions are where we're having to split checks, now we're becoming a split check community and not like we love each other community. If we're 3 of those times we just hang out and everybody does Dutch, and everybody just goes for a walk, or we just meet like at the hotel lobby and we hang out for 15 minutes, all of those things, they're non-transactional and we feel loved, right? Then we can have a transactional relationship where somebody says, okay, we're going to split the check, we're going to have this discussion about it. But if all of our interactions with someone are splitting checks, it feels like a client that we're working with instead of a friend. We want to make sure we bring it into the friend relationship. How do we do that? We make sure that less than 1/4 of our interactions are transactional. And so I would tell them to just put the science into it.
So you can make it work even if it's a transaction, but
you have to tell yourself 75% of my interactions can't be transactional because I'm going to play the game.
If you don't love your audience, you can still make it work.
You hack it. Okay, you hack it. 75% of my behaviors, I'm going to intentionally say, okay, I need to do my dues of 75% non-transactional behaviors because I know that's going to help them connect to me, so I can have that 25%. I do love everyone, in the sense I love humans. But I don't love every interaction I ever have with people in real life and in everywhere. But sometimes you engage with those people that you're not like thrilled to hang out with. You engage with them because it's bringing you something, right? It's either I'm bringing them value and I know I'm here to do a job and I'm here to bring them value, so I'm going to connect with this person. Or I know like that relationship will do something for me later. But I have to go into it saying, okay, I have to go into it, give 75% before I come in and ask, because I know that that's going to cause them to feel connected to me, even when there is really love there, if that makes sense. I can manufacture this. Anyone can manufacture it.
So there's the so if you want to do a transaction 25% of the time, but now what about for example, for us, we're not doing a transaction. By the way, we're internet marketers, but we probably at some point we want to do something of a transaction, but that's going to take lead magnets and list building and website building, and that's going to take forever. And how are we supposed to build all that and sell something?
I think there's still a transaction of listen to me talk, like an event almost. The person on the stage, that's still a transaction, even if you're not requiring money from them, you're requiring the investment of their time. That's still a transaction on some level.
Wow.
Giving
That's actually really powerful right there.
giving a loan, an education alone platform tends to be the hardest to grow because it's a loudspeaker and people aren't in the space mentally to take in the information. So we always start with memes, so that way that audience can connect to you first and have those small interactions, so you earn the chance to have the transaction of listen to me for 40 minutes.
That's
People pay with either their time or their money, right? So think of like my son is learning how to change oil. Well, he could pay $28 and go to the quick car and they change his oil, or whatever they did last time he didn't like. And so now he's choosing not to pay the $26 and go to quick car. And instead he's spending 3 hours underneath our car. Both of them are great options. He's learning great lessons in our driveway, trying to figure out how to change his own oil. He's putting in the time, which is his investment, right? So you either invest with money, $28, not that bad, kid, I tell you, or you go in 3 hours and whatever he's doing in the cars in the driveway right now. But you invest in one of those two ways. So both of those are a cost.
Rachel, you dropped some principles here that are transferable both to marketing and to life, period. Given what you know with social media, it could be Facebook or social media in general, what is something that people should know right now that's happening in social media that maybe a lot of people are not aware of?
It's easier than ever to create viral content because of AI tools now. So you can go into AI tools and say, here's my niche, give me conversations that convert. It will spit it out and you can pick out like 5 or 10 that you love and you can go post them on social media and see if they work. And it doesn't require a video, which takes a lot of time. It doesn't require photo editing skills. You just type a status question. Right now, those posts are doing very well on Instagram and Facebook. You can put them onto reels with just like last night I took a screenshot of one that I got on my feed, and it was a guy who was writing a letter who's just writing on it, and it was just a question written over him while he's writing with some background music. I'm like, that took him, I don't know, 20 seconds to set it up and write, and then just another 20 seconds to write the question on top of the video and put some background music on it, and he's done. Like, he didn't have to do any production for that whatsoever. He didn't have to dress up nice. He didn't have to change his background. He didn't have to look at the camera. He didn't have to talk. He didn't have to have an agenda. He can use that same exact video with 15 different questions and the same thing could work. So for a lot of times we just need to start by asking questions. Once we have questions that we know our audience relates to, once we have memes and an identity that we know our audience relates to, then we can make a longer form content about that because we've earned the right to talk about that topic with our audience.
Yeah, the AI tools are extremely helpful. One of the helpful AI tools I think you may be familiar with. I know
I made one, yeah. Okay, so what I did, guys, is I actually went on to my own audience, and I went and found my top 1,000 posts that had gotten over 1 million views without ads ever. So I got all my top million, and we had over 1,000, but remember, I have 10 different businesses. So it wasn't like one business, I think, brought in like 380 of them, and the other. So I bought my top post for all my businesses. And then I went to 80 of the businesses that I've coached and been friends with, and they're like my besties, and said, can you give me your stats? And I took their top post because I didn't want just mine, because maybe I'm weird and maybe I'm an anomaly. So I got my top post and 500 of their top posts, and we combined them together. And instead of telling AI to look at the internet, we tell AI to just look at these top posts that already went viral, make more content just like it. And then the AI engine will look at your niche and say, okay, your niche is most like these 30. Here's your 30 posts that are just like these virals that went before. Okay, your niche is just like these 30. Here's your 30 posts just like these. And so it democratized the ability to make virals. And ultimately, I think it will water it down, because the more users we have, we're going to have to get more than 1,800 different examples. We'll have to get like 4,500, but we've got 1,800 posts to copy right now. So we got a ways before we're there.
Rachel, the young lady I was telling you about earlier, the 18-year-old, her name's Taylor. Shout out to Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
She was she told me that she wanted to go to local businesses in her area and help them create content calendars. So I told her a little bit about Pagewheel and how that could do that for her, I believe.
Yeah.
My question to you is, Pagewheel, your software that helps people build all types of stuff. If you're talking to a tailor who's looking to use your software to help other businesses with their social media, what kind of advice would you give her?
Oh, if she's starting with an agency, we allow her to put her own logo onto the social media calendars that we promote. And I would probably, if I was her and she's starting from scratch, I would come up with a content calendar that you typed into, it's pagewheel.com. You type into Pagewheel, and I think you can do this on the free account. So she doesn't even need to buy an account. She goes into packs.pagewheel.com. On the right, there's like a blue section. Just type in your email address and you can set up a free account. She could do this. She goes in there and then she can create a month or a week social media calendar for each client. She's going to do a door-to-door walk in. I'm going to make a social media content calendar just like this one for you. And she shows up with something customized to their business. Like, let's say my daughter is the social media gal for a cupcake store in our local area. She could walk into the cupcake store and say, here's your content calendar for a month of social media. Here's the memes I would make if I was your social media person. And I think I could blow up your social media. Would you like to hire me? She comes super prepared with something already customized to them. And it takes her the amount of time it is to type in cupcake recipe, cupcake store, and gourmet cupcakes, and it will automatically create the content calendar based off of the virals that we've had.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
If you're working as a marketer or anything related to marketing, this tool supercharges you to be fast, effective, good right away. If you want to get into marketing, just like Rachel said, you could go from whatever you're working at right now to becoming effectively an expert marketer to like local businesses or other businesses with this tool.
Yeah. And here's the thing. That cupcake store, at least the one my daughter's at, they don't have any social media right now. So if you did anything for them, you're knocking it out of the park. So like you instantly have we brought them a 700 increase in views. Well, they haven't posted in 6 months. So we're really good here. So like, or they've only posted once a week, but they aren't posting into the local Facebook group. So you could, with just a couple of tweaks, instantly have a case study of your results. And once you have like 2 or 3 different case studies, you can bring, here's my worst case study. Here's my best case study. You don't tell them there's only 4. Would you like me to deliver results somewhere in the middle of these 2? And yeah.
I think this is post-COVID especially. So this past week, I went to a pottery class with this lady who built a business effectively out of her basement doing pottery. So I took a course with my wife there, and she's got a business. She's selling it. So many people have businesses like this. They need to be using this, or whoever
Yes.
is going to do their social media need to be using this. They're more than ever before, by a factor of 10, are these local business, and people want to experience this. So it's not like local businesses are going away. Look at these small towns. They're actually coming back up because of bakeries and shops like your cupcake store and whatever stores. People are coming in wanting that at a place. And they're not marketing themselves, or if they are, they're not doing a good job.
Mm-hmm. And it's easy to have a fast win. So if you're a beginning marketer, that's what I would do. Is I would just spend 20 minutes on Pagewheel, come up with 10 different PDFs that you're going to print up and then put into folders and go door to door and knock on the doors and say, hey, cupcake store, here, I made one for you. And then next door, oh, you're the balloon place. Here's I made for you. Oh, you're the foot massage place. Well, here I made one for you. Here's one. So you could just do the entire strip mall.
There's this thing Rachel, I was telling Dmitri earlier that I was on the phone with Ruben Rock. We were
I love Ruben.
Love Ruben. Shout out to Ruben. Love Ruben. We were going over pay-per-click, and he's giving me a consultation and all that stuff. And I told him, in our industry, we help home service contractors, right? And marketing, you could simplify marketing to literally pushing a button like you've done with Pagewheel. You can do that. And our demographic, the home service guys, will want nothing to do with it. They don't care. They don't want to touch marketing. They just want it done for them. So you have created a product that allows people to literally push buttons and help others with their marketing who don't want to do it. I think it would be foolish, back to Dimitri's point, for somebody who's looking to getting into marketing to not use a tool like this to help them build their business by helping other businesses.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. And when tools are so easy now,
Yes.
your job is just to find the clients, and
Yes.
the tool will do all the work for you. Oh, and I forgot to say, it's $27 a month. So for people who are like, well, I need an expensive tool, we've intentionally kept our costs super low so that way it's not an arm and a leg for people to get clients.
Yeah, and it's $27 a month. I was gonna say, like, my guess the first time I was hearing this is 10 times more than that. Like, okay, it's $270 per month. I mean, okay, that would make sense. It's $27 a month, less than $1 a day.
Yeah, we chose the price of Canva's pricing that they do for their pro accounts, because we want to help the person who's just starting out, just like the person who's on Canva.
Canva's great, but you still have to do all the work, and you have to move and design it and text it and try the different options. And by the time you're done, it's 3 hours have gone by and you've got half a decent creative.
Well, you still have to make the creatives, as in we make the wording for you. You still have to do a little bit of design, but we take as much of it. We do give templates to make it faster and easier, but yeah. So there's some copy and paste though. So it's not completely done. We're as close as we can.
Well, and then once it's completely done, the machines will take over anyway, and it'll all be done by then. But effectively, but I mean, like, for who can't use this is my question. Is like, is there somebody who can't use this? I don't think there is. I mean, you're a coach, you're an influencer, you have a podcast.
Anyone who needs a social media audience and a list. Now, there are some companies that might need like advanced products or advanced things that we're not a good fit for. But for the majority of companies, if you need to grow your list, then growing your list or grow your audience, then Pagewheel is definitely helpful for most people. So thank you guys.
Yeah, and thank you for auditing our social media. There's a huge mistake that we're making, clearly, is that we're pretending like we're well known in the industry already.
You will be. I'd love to see some hooks on your videos, and I'd love to see some memes that people can connect to quickly. Make fun of the other marketers, y'all.
Yes, ma'am.
Draw a line in the sand and say, we're not like those other marketers. We're cooler. We're better.
Well, Rachel Miller, I'd like to thank you. And Chris, if you have any final thoughts, I'll throw it over to you. But thank you so much for coming on. We are so happy that we got 2 episodes. I mean, I'm thrilled, and it's so good to see, as always.
And that's all because my daughter started working at a cupcake store. She washes the dishes there, and she sells cupcakes, but she also now does their marketing. So she's really having fun at the cupcake store.
Well, no, I appreciate this, Rachel. Like I was said in the last episode, we hang out. When I hang out with you two, we don't always talk business. It's
No.
really not a lot of business, and so this is cool to explore this side and get taught the lessons that you're bringing. So love you and appreciate you, homie.
Love you back.